Hey, as Karaka here, and then I'm here with another Digimon deck profile. Today we'll be doing a Justimon deck, and then last we'll be doing a Megadrone deck, probably also this week, but that will be at the end of the EX-02 deck profiles. Then I'll probably be doing a backlog on some of the other stuff that I haven't showcased yet. So without further ado, let's get right into the deck profile. So for Justimon deck, it's a pretty self-explanatory deck. It has a lot of Tamers in it, so you can take advantage of the hybrids from BT7. Alright, so let's have a look at the level 6s first. So right off the bat, we are just going to be running 4 of the Justimon. He's actually quite a powerhouse. If you can Digivolve into your Justimon, you'll be able to control the board pretty easily, and you'll be able to swing for big numbers, and you can also, if you have Reboot and a blocker, you can also make him into a pretty beefy blocker. So Justimon has a pretty unique skill. Its effect is, on evolution, you can use one of the effects. So it's either get 2k, make this Digimon active again, or pop a level 5. Pop a cost 5 or less Digimon. And then the second skill is on attack. Once per turn, you can, for each Tamer you have, you can use one of your evolution abilities. So as you can see, kind of the main gimmick for this deck is just to have a lot of Tamers out so that you can use all of Justimon's effects when he attacks. And then you'll be able to cheese for quite a few hits. And this is an OTK deck. You can OTK with this deck pretty easily. But of course you have to have the right setup, and the setup for this deck is a little bit harder than some of the other OTK decks we have right now. Especially in black, I think the Alphamon OTK is a little bit more consistent, but that requires a little bit more build up. This one has a lot more searchers, and I think it's honestly a little bit easier to set up, but it's also easier to break apart. So next we are going to be looking at another level 6 we're running Craniumon. This is entirely optional. You can choose not to run this if you don't want to. Mainly this because this one is it's a Royal Knight, and it doesn't have the cyborg or machine type typing on him. So that's a little bit of a downside, but I like him because he is a big blocker that can help you stall out a bit of games. And since you still have red removal out in the game right now, this will also help you prevent your blockers from getting deleted. Of course, if your opponent's playing green or blue that can bounce, there's not much we can do about it. You can run God Bless. We'll talk about some of the options you can run after, but let's just finish the main deck first. So we have 6 level 6s. Next, for the level 5s, we are going to be running 4 Megadrone. This is the new level 5 from EX-02. So on evolution, you can play a Rio for free, and the second skill is kind of a minus. If you don't have a Tamer on the board, this Digimon cannot attack. So if you haven't noticed, it is a 10k beat stick, so you'll be able to attack with 10k. The main idea is just to attack with this, and then find ways to buff it, and then you can Digivolve into your Justimon so that you can unsuspend it. And then you can attack again with your Justimon, and unsuspend again, and do another attack. So that's 3 attacks. It's pretty spicy, but it does again require a bit more setup. But it's kind of its own engine already. Next, we have his evolution source skill. So if you have 2 or more Tamers, when this card attacks, you can de-Digivolve 1, which is pretty good, pretty good. Next, for the level 5s, other level 5s, we are running 2 Volcanomon, Volcamon, I think it's called Volcamon. If your opponent has an active Digimon, this card gets a security check +1, so this kind of pressures your opponent to have their Digimon swing on their turn so that you can't get that security check +1. It also discourages them from hard casting Digimon from their hand. So there's that. I know a lot of people don't like this card, but I actually kind of like him because he is a cyborg type Digimon, so you can get some benefits out of from him. Next, we are running 2 of the Megadrone from the start deck. So this is a blocker, so you can, if you have the Reboot on your Justimon, you can turn into a really beefy blocker, which is also pretty good. Next, for the level 4s, we are running 2 of the Gardomon from EX-01. So this here, this Digimon cannot attack, which is definitely a downside, but It is a 6K blue blocker, and it's a 5 hard cast, and then he also has a pretty decent evolution source skill. So when you attack, you can discard a machine type or cyborg type to draw 2. So pretty good. It helps you filter out your hand if you're bricking. And this deck does run quite a few cyborg or machine type Digimon. You can fulfill the conditions pretty easily. So ideally, you want to do something similar to this if you want to unbrick your hand. So you have a big beefy Digimon, but you also have the filter so that you can go into your Justimon if you somehow brick. Next, we are running Megadrone. So this is one of the best level 4 blockers in the game right now. It just stops Rookie Rush, and it's a very good card. And if you have the Craniumon on the field, you can protect it from removal effects or deletion effects. Can't really help them from your Paljamons, but that's okay. Next, we are running 4 Strike Dramons. This one is kind of here just because you want to have the memory gain so that you can extend your turn a bit longer, and then you can on evolution search your top 4 and add a tamer, a black tamer. So in that event, it's pretty good to help you filter your deck and help you get some combo pieces for your tamers. Especially since it's like a super tamer reliant, you want to have tamers easily accessible in your hand. And last, for the level 4s, we are going to be running 3 Groundmon. So this one is here. It's a hybrid spirit. You can digivolve with your black tamers, and we're running 3 because we're running so many black tamers. So you can potentially use these to go for game, and you can cut this down to 1 if you want, and probably beef out another one of these. But I'm quite liking these. You want these more often than not because these will help you finish games. You can take all your opponent's security with your Justimon, and then you want to go into this for your last hit. So there is that. Next, for the rookies, we're going to go over. I'm running 3 types. I was running a bit more before, but I'll explain why I'm not. We're running Toy Agumons. This is one of the best rookies for black. It just is. All the rookies I'm running in this deck, or most of the rookies I'm running in this deck, are pretty much the best options that you have for black. Rebooting is definitely really nice, especially if you go with the blocker route for your Justimon. You want to be able to reboot so that you can get your attacks in, but also reboot on your turn, so that on your opponent's turn, so that you can use them as a blocker. If not, you can just go full aggressive and go into Sunrizamon. So going to 13k is very, very easy for this deck. Your Justimon can kind of self-buff itself to 13k already. So this card is kind of mandatory in this deck. I know it's kind of expensive in English, but if you want to build black, you really need a playset of this. It's just a good card. Next, for the other level 3s, we are going to... It also gives piercing its main skill also gives piercing. So if your opponent has blockers, just slap this down, attack with your Justimon, and bada bing, bada boom, their blockers are useless. Next, for the other level 3s, we are running 4 Monodramons. So this helps you search for, open top 4 cards of your deck, and helps you add all the tamers. Obviously, this is really good. It helps you compress your deck, and also helps you fetch 4 tamers, which are very important to your combo. So that's the level 3s. The other level 3 that I was planning to run is the Chikurimon, just to help slow down decks that rely on digivolving, like Gallantmon decks and Beelzemon decks, especially for warp digivolving decks. Kind of slows them down a lot. If a Beelzemon crashes into this, then, well, they're going to be turned back into Impmon if they're playing the turbo build. And yeah, it's just a really good card at slowing things down. Downside for this is if there's a lot of D-Reapers in your current meta, these will be pretty useless. Your D-Reaper matchups usually don't use Digivolution, so this will just be, in your security doing nothing. So that's why I decided to cut them out. D-Reapers are still pretty popular, so I'm opting to run other stuff instead. And since we are actually running so many Tamers, these act as level 3 Digimon as well, since we are running 3 of the Black Hybrid Digimon. So let's go over the Tamers. We're running 3 Rios. I'm gonna bring all dogs because I pulled them, but it is a nice card. So on play, you can look at the top 3 cards of your deck and add a Dramon card or a Justimon. So you can add all your Justimon Evolution Online cards as well as your Megadrone. So if you want to run 4 of these, you can choose not to run this extra security check, but entirely up to you. And then the other effect is when waiting for black Digimon attacks, you can rest this Tamer to give that Digimon plus 1000 until the end of your opponent's turn. So keep in mind it's the end of your opponent's turn. So if you attack with this Justimon, you tap this, and this card has, given this card has blocker and reboot, reboot with the 12k. So it's pretty good. It just makes your blockers even beefier. And the buffing skill is not entirely restricted to machine or cyborgs. So you can use this with your Craniumon as well. So it's a built-in, it's a 13k, it'll be a 13k blocker at least. And then you can also have it delete proof from you know, deletion effects. Next, we're running 3 Kazu. Kazu is pretty good. Opening at the beginning of your main phase, if you have a cyborg or machine type Digimon, you get +1 memory. So this is actually really, really good. I wish Rio had that effect, but no, that would be too good. And then the second effect is on either player's turn, if one of your machine or cyborg Digimon type are rested, then you can draw a card and then discard a card from your hand. So you can use this to filter out, and it also helps you, unbreak your hand. So pretty good. I don't use the second effect that often because I don't really break that much, but in the events that you do, at least that's an option you have. Next, for the memory reset Tamers, we're running 3 of the Izzies and 1 Taichi. So running 1 Taichi in case of the matchup where your opponent has a lot of big beefy Digimons, we want to have this to just pump up your defenses a little bit if you don't have some in before. The Izzies are just here because we're running a full black deck, so he's pretty much a 3 cost to play. And if your opponent's playing greedy and they're attacking you when they're at 0 memory, if they crash into this insecurity, it's going to immediately pass back to your turn, and you're going to start out with 3 memory. So pretty good for that. If you don't feel like the Taichis are necessary, you can just completely cut them out and just run 4 Izzies. I'm debating about it, but I kind of like the 1k gain on my opponent's turn. Because it turns your Mechanorimon to a 7k blocker, which does actually matter. So I quite like that. And last but not least, we're running 2 black memory boosts. This card is entirely up to you. If you don't feel like you need this, then you can feel free to cut it out. You can cut these out for more defensive options, like cards that can remove your opponent's Digimon, like the Gankumon option from BT6, or the Armageddon, Armageddon option from BT5. Those are definitely options that you can consider running. And as I said before, if you're playing against in a meta with a lot of evolution heavy decks, then the Chikurumons are also pretty good. You can kind of cut these out for Chikurumon so that you can also decrease your chance of bricking into not drawing level 3s as well. But that's pretty much it for this deck. It's a very fun deck. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention my Digitamas. So Digitamas, I'm running 4 Hopmon. It just gives you +1k if you have 2 more black Tamers on the field, which is extremely easy to fulfill in this deck. And so just getting those 1ks are pretty much it's pretty much free. So again, it'll help buff up your Digimon. Mainly what you want to do is just to attack, as I said before, with your Saberdramon, and you want to have many ways to buff it. So one of the ways is just to buff it with this. So this will be a 12k if you have the Rio, and you have 2 Rios, you'll be able to buff it twice, which will turn him into a 13k. And if you have the Sunrizamon, you'll be able to attack with the extra security check already. So it's not super likely to happen, but there are times you can, because you are able to search for Tamers a lot, very frequently in this deck. So getting these out is not that hard, especially since when you Digivolve into this, you can play this for free. So having 2 or 3 of these on the field is not that hard, much like the Talmon from the yellow deck. So if you attack with this, tap these, and then if you have a Justimon in your hand, you'll be able to Digivolve in Justimon. Keep in mind, once you evolve, he'll still keep the power boost. So unsuspend it with Justimon's effect, and then you attack again. Again, you have extra security check, and then you can also activate the bottom effect to unsuspend again. So you're attacking for 6 security checks, which is really good. And then if you have another tamer like a Kazu or something, or Izzy or something, you can just go into your what's it called? So this is also at times when the black memory boost will be helpful, but if not, if you have the Kazu, it also works because you get extra memory. So yeah, I think I've been rambling long enough, but that's pretty much the deck. It's very fun. It's definitely not the strongest deck in the meta right now, because there's a lot of ways to just play around it, but when a deck works, it works. So it's really nice to have, and when it's running smooth, it's really fun to play. So definitely try this out. It's not an expensive deck to build. It's very cheap, very cheap budget black deck. If you're not wanting to build Royal Knights or X Antibody, this is definitely the go-to deck. I think you can pick this up for like less than, I don't know how much it's going to be in English, but the Japanese version of the deck you can pick up for pretty much around 20 US. I guess these ones are kind of expensive, but they're not that expensive in Japanese, so that's why the deck is still pretty cheap. There's nothing really of value in this deck. Even the Justimons are not expensive, so yeah, if you're playing Japanese, definitely pick these up. This is a very cheap and fun deck to play. And that's pretty much it for this video, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to support the channel by clicking like and subscribe. And stay tuned for more Digimon content. And if you want to monetarily support this channel, you can join as a member, or you can buy cards on TCG Player using the affiliate down below. And then all your purchases, a portion of it will go back to the channel and growing and building decks and stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this deck, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. This is Kartaku, and I'll see you guys next time with my Megadrone deck. See ya!